You got your phone?
I know mine because I've been like.
We're live. Really?
Yeah, it's Vancouver Real Estate Live. I'm Adam Scalina. We've got Matt Scalina here. And we've got our guest today, founder and partner of Oakwyn Realty, Michael Uy. Thanks for coming,
Michael.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to hang out with you guys. It's so organic and natural here.
It is. You were just on the podcast, but this feels a lot more natural.
It does.
I think.
Yeah, it does. With these this is my natural lighted all the time. Yeah.
Naturally lit.
Yeah.
Before we get to maybe we always ask our guests to tell us a little bit about or yourself. We're talking about real estate and disruption. I think we were just talking about this before we went live.
Screen time.
Yeah.
How much screen time everybody does. Now,
Right.
It's not a surprise to me that I have no clue and you have no clue how much time you spend on your phone, and you actually have it up here.
Right.
Do you know how many hours?
Yeah,
you spend
I know
a
what
day?
I was doing. So we were talking about like how much people might be addicted to their phone. Like, little known fact about me, I actually lost my license for my driver's license for distracted driving.
Wow.
And I got a pro. It was kind of suspended for about 10 months. And
10 months?
Yeah, because that's how that's
You
how
had 4
addicted-
phones. How distracted do you have to be to get?
There's a certain in BC there's a certain demerit system. So like you
Right.
know, if you get caught by the police or something like that. So I got caught once per year for 5 years straight. So like since it started. So at the 5th one they just threw the book at me. Yeah, exactly.
So what's your screen time?
Well, it was almost 6 hours a day. And now I've got it down to a little over 3 hours a day now. So because I've been really consciously trying to stay away from it. Yeah.
But so are you? When you say consciously trying to stay away from it, how are you doing that?
So like I've been trying to do that a couple ways. So one, I think we were talking about this before, but so I take a day off of technology a week. So. So
it's like a detox.
Yeah, like
technology
a detox.
detox.
So like so no screen. So like that's your phone. That's like TV. Anything to do with technology. No computer time or anything like that. So I take that on Sundays. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
As a real estate agent, that's probably tough. But you don't feel like ever. So no movies, nothing. Or do you go to the movies?
No technology.
So
no
just
interaction.
reading books.
Yeah, reading books, having a human conversation that's really organic, just like this.
Churning butter.
With that.
Yeah, exactly. Churning butter, gardening, whatever. So yeah, and it's So there's a book by her name is Tiffany Shalane. It's called 24/6. And so and I kind of inspired me to do that, and a lot of there's a lot of even a lot of like big tech giants. They don't allow screens in their homes and stuff like that because they know how pervasive it could be. But here we are talking,
especially with kids. But Matt, what is your screen
time?
Well,
hold on a second. I was just thinking, maybe I'll get to the screen time first.
Yeah,
because I was thinking about ways to.
Mine just increased from holding my phone open while we were talking about this.
I'm looking at my daily average. Is that? This
the
is
daily
what we're going.
average, yeah.
Okay, so yours is just a little over 3.
Yeah.
Mine is actually down 18% from last week, 4 hours and 32 minutes.
Wow.
And, no, Adam's is going to be, I'm guessing over 5.
My wife will understand why, but mine is this week 6 hours.
Wow, 6 hours. I'm going to shame you. That's 42 hours a week.
That is actually
that's 42
so
hours
you're spending as much time on your phone. You're basically spending.
Well, I work a job where I'm on my phone a lot. That's maybe one argument.
Yeah.
But also, I'm just sitting there refreshing Instagram constantly as well.
Exactly. And your selfie addiction as well.
Yeah, sure.
So many photos.
Yeah.
Oh,
exactly.
God. Okay.
You gotta get the right angle.
Well, we were going to actually talk a little bit about the stats as well.
Well,
as prop tech.
But wait a second. I just had one more. Not to keep this going.
One more shame.
Yeah.
No. Actually, I was thinking
we need an intervention. Actually, this is an intervention.
We've been talking about
just me sobbing in the fetal position at the end of this.
That's right.
But no, I was thinking my strategy that I haven't actually implemented that I was thinking of doing though is like doing like an hour a day, like 3 or 4 times a week, like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, from whatever to whatever.
That
downtime. Work. You don't think so?
No.
You think a full day? A full day seems.
Real estate is too reactive, I think, as a career.
Yeah.
Like, what if you can't close your phone off an hour during the day, can you?
Well,
Well, you
Sunday.
can.
Yeah, you can.
Well,
You're on-
it just depends on the situation, the circumstance. I think certainly when I first started as a real estate agent, I would like if
Yeah.
someone called me at like 2
You'd pick
a.m.
up.
I would be like, yes, sir.
Yeah,
So,
right.
But I think, now, especially I have a really, really awesome team that I work with, and they take care of
Angus is on his phone.
Shout out,
We should-
shout
we
out
should
to
actually-
Angus.
We should get.
Oh,
Young
we got a
Angus.
question. It's from
Oh,
Angus.
yes.
Holy, this is.
Peter.
Oh,
Says, would you buy and sell first in this market?
Okay.
Would you
Buy
I
or
think,
sell.
I think buy or sell probably.
Buy and sell, but maybe he meant.
yeah. So
Yeah.
probably, it's an owner that's transitioning, right?
Sure.
Yeah. Which
Yeah.
is pretty normal. What do you guys think?
The question I think is, would you buy or sell first?
Yeah, so I can start. I actually think it's quite common in a market that's rising, right? Where you would buy first and then sell, right? That's typical. And then in a market that's falling, obviously you would probably sell first and then buy. That's generally would you
I disagree.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I actually, in an uprising market, regardless of the market, I think it's just correct strategy to always sell before you buy.
Wow.
Always, because it's far too risky. I've seen it happen numerous times where, somebody buys a property, even though the market's uprising, and then there's
Right.
a shift, there's a change, a
Yeah.
foreign buyer tax is announced, and then
They get caught.
they get caught.
Foreign buyer's tax is a good example of
Yeah.
where a lot of people got caught.
Yeah.
But before that, how many people did we know that like made 5% or 10% on both properties in the interim of holding the two assets, right?
well, and
If it feels pretty, I mean, if there's nothing,
hold on. But the flip side to that risk, in my mind, is like if we go back to condos in 2017, and you're looking to sell a 1-bedroom, which you'd sell like that, and buy a 2-bedroom, which was also challenging. There's a risk you sell, you give yourself 75 days, and then buying is really hard, right? Like the risk is you're renting, I
Yeah,
guess. I
right.
guess that's the risk.
Yeah.
And you would see that as just a lesser of two.
For sure. For
riskier
me,
propositions.
I'm a very conservative guy, so I'm like very, I'm super conservative. So like when I advise my clients, I'm like, this is what I would do. I wouldn't buy a property, put myself in financial duress or stressors and stuff like that. I would prefer to sell. Make sure that we know what we're getting for the property. It's not, it's not a mystical figure or anything like that. It's like set in stone. This is what we're getting.
Yeah.
And then go on the hunt. And especially, back in the super hot days, you're able to negotiate flexible closing dates and stuff like that. And the worst case scenario would be that you would, Peter, the worst case scenario would be that you would essentially, you would have to rent for a short period of time and stuff like that, which
move 2 or 3 times, maybe.
maybe
Get storage
Yeah.
space, maybe.
Yeah.
live in like an old hotel. Or
You know what, the one thing though is that I think like right now selling, there's so little inventory right now that it's so hard to find something that will work for you. And I feel that's like the biggest hesitancy with that. Like when you're meeting with sellers, they're like, I know we need to move, but I haven't seen anything that I necessarily want to move into yet, right? And a
And the
90-day
challenge is
window
that-
is a tough window.
And often when you're talking to somebody, it's like, yeah, you haven't seen that yet, and you might not see that in the next 30 days.
Well,
45
not in
days.
2019. It feels like the inventory has been
is very
a little
low
tough.
yeah.
and terrible. Yeah.
But anyways, I understand. I agree with you. But in a rising market, I think I have actually thrown caution to the wind before I bought and then sold. And thank God it wasn't around the foreign buyer's tax, because that's the outlier, right?
Right. Yeah. And you never know. Like I've had that's just it's my opinion. I always advise my clients to sell before they buy, because I just think that the risk is just far too great. And I think everyone's a bit different. Everyone has different philosophies, but like I advise like the people that I work with the same way as I would do for my brother or for myself. So I would never like do that for myself. Yeah. So there you go.
So it sounds like, just in terms of transitioning a little bit, so you're a sell first buy guy. You're market specific.
I'm very market specific.
I'm not going to give an opinion, but presumably this question comes out of the fact that the market is in transition. It feels like we're transitioning here,
Right.
And we were actually going to start this conversation with talking a little bit about the stats, the October stats that just came out. Adam, you had some stats. We just recorded the intro-outro of the podcast, and we were talking about the stats, and you had some interesting ones.
Here's where we're shifting to. In October of 2019, we've got, in the attached market, these are sellers markets. Downtown, West Side, East Van, and North Van, all in the attached market. Mm-hmm. East Van, 39% across the board for being a seller's market. North Van, 42%. In detached, the East Side and North Van are both sellers markets. Buyers markets are West Van houses and West Side houses.
And
Perhaps
I
maybe
would
not
say,
surprising.
but West Side houses, I think, and I don't have it in front of me.
I think it's like 11%.
But in the price bands of like under 1 or 2.25,
Very active in the entry level. Yeah,
I think is a seller's market for
but
sure.
this was the one that really stood out to me, and I mentioned it when we were off air, but there were 67 properties listed in Mount Pleasant in the condos and townhome market. 50 of them sold last month. So it was like a 75% sales ratio in Mount Pleasant, which is crazy. Like that feels like 2017 times.
Hold on. We got more questions here.
Do we have more questions, Ramey?
Yeah. I got
Man,
them. Okay, so I can read it. This one's from P Man. If you were in your early 20s, would you buy a property or wait till you enter your 30s and more settled down? It's an interesting question. Early 20s.
So are we talking something that you would buy and live in, I guess, or buy and rent out until your 30s?
My guess on this question is that you're in your early 20s, you have a down payment you can buy, but your future's up in the air for the next couple of years. You might get a job somewhere else. You know, you potentially are going to be moving, as opposed to in your 30s where I'm
You really elaborated on that question.
And I was going to say, myself in my 30s, and then I'm like, actually, I'm 40.
We're gonna do an intervention for you.
Yeah.
Well, I think I can take that one. So, so it basically boils down to the type of property that you're gonna purchase. I would advise you to go P Man, Mr. Man, Mrs. Man, or Miss Man. I would I love real estate. I think real estate is the best vehicle to accumulate wealth, and so I'd buy a property that is rentable. So if you've accumulated a good down payment, if you accumulate some good down payment, go ahead and buy that property. Buy one that's a condo that's centrally located, close to public transit, a newer property. And that you're going to hold for the long term. Buy under $500,000 so that you'll save the property transfer tax amount, and keep it, live in there for a while to gain some independence. But if you need to move back home, you can keep it as a rental. That's not going to be it's not going to be the end of the world. I bought a property when in my early 20s. One of the best things that I ever did, back in the day, and I bought in 2007, which was kind of like the peak, one of the peak times, and then there was a big bottom on. I was like, oh my gosh, did I make the world's biggest mistake? Well, it turns out did not. It was a great decision.
Right.
Um,
I bought a property, a newer property close to a SkyTrain, and I lived there to gain my freedom from my parents, and it was great.
Which building?
It was in Richmond.
Yeah.
Clearly.
Whoa.
No.
Well, yeah. So it was in Richmond.
You can't say that.
Yeah. Clearly.
Yeah, and it was in Richmond. I bought a property on Garden City in Westminster. It was in it was called Hamptons Park. Yeah.
I know.
So
It's
here's
great
another
location.
question:
Sure.
Do you still own that property? Or
I do. You know what? And that was a big regret because I sold it before I sold it to accumulate a little. So because I was a little bit, I was I wanted to be conservative. So I sold it a little bit too early so that I could buy another property, so I could buy a detached home. And I probably could have kept it, but I decided to sell it because and it was a great rental property for me. I lived there for 3 years when I was 23 years old, and it was great. And then I kept it as a rental, and it did really well as a rental. But I just wanted that that equity back so that I could buy a detached property. And I probably could have held it, but then I wanted. I always like to have. So if you are buying your property, P-Man, look at make sure that you have enough. Holding power. So I think I'm a big believer in having some liquid capital as holding, so that you can feel really comfortable, like you have 3 to 6 months of expenses kind of saved up and stuff like that. So just in case something goes terribly awry, you're gonna be okay.
Yeah, and I'll just just to add to that, I think so if I'm understanding correctly, make sure that rentals are allowed.
Yes,
is absolutely first and foremost.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then the second thing is, I just want to, when we talk to developers, which we have on the show quite a bit, a lot of the people that have owned several doors or own a lot of revenue properties, their number one wish is that they would have bought younger, right?
It's
they would have got into the
a
market
person.
earlier.
And even the people who say something else, when you say, what would you tell your 18-year-old self? That's the first thing they say, and then they go, oh, but I'll think of something else, and they come up with another idea.
Right.
That is almost the number one thing we talk.
So I agree with you. Hedge it,
people.
treat it like a revenue property, but live in it if you can.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's definitely not your forever home. Don't think of it like your forever
And-
home.
and I think
of it like an investment.
Right.
And
More questions.
there's more questions. I got another one here.
People
Who's
hanging out
in?
with us.
Can we see who's in the room with us?
It's there's 21.
Nice.
21
Wow.
people.
Welcome everyone. Thank you
Welcome,
for
Yes,
joining
thank you
us.
for everybody.
Cheers,
everybody
hanging out
coming.
with us.
Yeah. Okay, so this one is okay, so Sabrina has a question and Gio has a question.
Okay.
Sabrina came first. What's the most exciting neighborhood in Vancouver right now? Well, you're okay.
I'm biased.
You're biased. I'm actually curious to hear what Adam thinks, in part because you're renovating a house in one area, you're renting in another area with sales ratios that are very high. And Michael, you're on the west side, so I'm curious to hear.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually not going to probably say my neighborhood. We're building a house in Strathcona. I'm really excited about Strathcona with the Northeast Falls Creek plan, with the hospital coming in, viaducts coming down. I mean, I'm really excited and bullish on the neighborhood, and I also think it's just a fantastic neighborhood. But I think that Hastings corridor is what I'm most excited about, actually, like over by Strathcona Village and where Ani's building. I think there's great things to come for Hastings. And then Mount Pleasant is great, but I feel like Mount Pleasant has arrived in this kind of crazy way where it's just so popular. And I also feel a little old sometimes at Mount Pleasant, depending on where you are in Mount Pleasant. But I feel like
You're only as old as you feel.
I feel old.
And I feel old when I walk with you in Mount Pleasant.
Partly on account that I'm on like one of those scooters.
Yeah.
He's sitting on a hemorrhoid pillow. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, I think we're on the same page. Mount Pleasant to me, and I've said it before, like you're basically at 14th and Main right now. I feel like I'm spending more time there, even though we both used to live in Mount Pleasant, and it kind of feels like Yaletown. And we used to say about Yaletown,
it's vibrant.
It's always a seller's market.
Right.
And Mount Pleasant to me now feels like it's kind of reached that. We're peak Mount Pleasant. It always feels like it's a seller's market. People want to be there.
Right.
And we talked last time about Strathcona Village, but it's worth pointing out, right? Ani at Clark and Hastings is developing. Reliance, I think,
has stuff.
as Victoria and Hastings.
That North Commercial area too, eh? It all.
There's a lot, and it
There's
was
a buzz.
Morgan Brown that said energy hubs.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a variety of places in that kind of along Hastings that I would say qualify as energy hubs. There's a lot of excitement over there.
Michael, you're on the west side. What do
Kerrisdale.
where are you excited about?
Well, I think, the hottest neighborhood, to answer Sabrina's question, I think certainly is Mount Pleasant. And I think, the amount of activity that's happening there, you just mentioned 50 sales in a month, over 67 condos that are in townhouses that are on the market. So pretty amazing stuff. think, yeah, so it's pretty amazing stuff. You know, if I were to buy a property, you know, if I were to like be in the market to buy, I would, you know, I always like to look at like, you know, things that are on the buyer's side of things. So like you mentioned the West Side houses and stuff like that.
Or West Vancouver.
Yeah, or West Vancouver, and I think we discussed that the last time. So yeah, I think that those are where I would be looking at as great opportunities to potentially, you know, get undervalued homes. And so yeah,
it's worth pointing out that you can get like a huge lot in West Vancouver right now with a very livable house for a comparable price to East Vancouver, right?
Right.
In West Van.
It's nuts because I've been watching that market a little bit, going like, huh. You
The
know, like
lots
looking
are-
at my house and looking at those
Yeah.
houses, and I'm like, what have I done?
Going like, do I care if my kids have friends?
not really. Give me the 10,000 square foot lot.
exactly.
There, we should say here. Okay, we'll get to Geo. There's another 2 questions.
Oh, wow, okay.
Welcome, Miriam and D. So are in the room asking questions as well.
Welcome.
So okay, we should move on here. We've
Power of
done
the internet.
Yeah, no, this is exciting.
this
I
is
feel
great.
like this whole disruption thing, we might not even get to it, but
We're gonna get there.
hey, we'll see, we'll see.
I prepared a diatribe.
Okay, so Geo, I have a condo in Burnaby and I want to buy in Yaletown for around $1 million. When would be best to sell? Okay, hold on. P.S. I love you guys and thanks for the shout out last week for our show, best thing ever. Geo is
Geo.
So Geo,
That
maybe
Geo.
maybe you can answer this, Geo. Which pad thai is the best in Vancouver?
Yeah, exactly.
So okay, he's in Burnaby. I think I would think it depends on which area of Burnaby you're in. I don't know. What are your guys'
sorry?
thoughts?
Can you?
Here's the
selling-
question. I have a condo in Burnaby,
Burnaby. Yep.
and I want to buy in Yaletown for around $1 million. When would be best to sell?
Well, this year, November. in actuality, though, right? I mean, like October was the busiest month. Like we're seeing the fall market is going crazy.
Right.
I just wonder at what point people, like typically December really slows down, falls off. People focus on family and holidays, right?
Right.
Well, and the reason I said it depends on Solo District. Okay, so he's in Brentwood.
Yeah.
If I was in Brentwood, I would do that sooner than later.
Yeah. I would. So Geo, what I would suggest is look at what is being sold in your building. If you're the only listing in Solar District for your property type, if it's a 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom, whatever you're in, that's where you want to be. You do not want to be competing with 2 or 3 other properties that are on the market at the same time. So market timing is really based on your supply and specifically within your building. So look at, from a micro perspective, look within your building. Look at the buildings surrounding your building as well. And, if you can afford it as well, like go to your mortgage broker, that Solo District, if it's like a 1-bedroom or it's a small unit, think about holding it. Like,
Totally.
Think about holding it. Think about pulling equity from it and then moving it over. It depends on how old you are.
Geo is saying, I'm thinking January, and there's 5 listings currently similar types.
I
Yeah,
would.
then not.
Yeah,
No, and I would wait probably until late January or early February
Yeah.
and try and catch the spring market.
Right.
But I agree with Michael. I just sold a unit in Solo District, and we leveraged the fact that there were 7 of the same floor plans on the market. I helped the buyer, and we got a great deal on it
Yeah.
because of that.
So yeah, then I then if let's say, well, Adam and Matt were working with you, I would tell you that like we should be
It's
patient.
a 2-bedroom.
Yeah, be patient with it.
Yeah. Yeah, but in regards to Brentwood, to me too, and there's, Triumph is one that's, I think in the next month is
Right.
completing. There's
Right.
some
some
news,
supply.
There's
There's
some
a lot
new
of supply
coming.
coming.
Well, that's
So-
going to be the common in Brentwood for
The next,
forever.
for
So look
years
at just
to
your
come.
building.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. Okay, so we got Miriam. As a first-time buyer, I'm looking at the older condo market in New West. Bad investment? Question
Older
mark.
condo market in New West.
I don't think that's a bad investment at all.
No, I can. So yeah, with some of those properties, it's funny because I just had a client that participated in one of those strata wind up
Yep.
buildings, and it was an older 70s condominium in the Tri-Cities area, and they got bought out. You know,
Yeah.
so like it was because
Totally.
the thing is with a lot of these old wood frame buildings that are rentals allowed and stuff like that, they're on these huge parcels of land, and you own a certain unit entitlement of that parcel of land.
Right.
And so, I had that happen 2 or 3 times in the last few years for some of my people, and it worked out really well.
The only thing I would add to that is if you are looking at an older building, make sure you understand exactly what's going on with the building, because most buildings have about a 25-year life cycle before there's major work, major systems that need to be replaced. So make sure that you're buying into something where there's not huge envelope work coming up or a new roof or something that hasn't been kind of planned for the strategy. Do you need a new beer?
Yeah,
they're behind the sign. Just make sure that you really understand what's going on in the building and how many capital expenditures are coming up for sure.
Yeah, but
Make sure rentals are allowed, I would say as well.
I would agree the rentals allowed, but in older buildings in New West, I think for around $400K you can still get
There's
a
great
two-bed.
value in
There's
New
there's
West.
very good value in New West. You're close to Surrey. You're close to the SkyTrains. I mean, it checks basically all the boxes. So
Right.
in my mind, if you're looking at a building that allows rentals that has been relatively well maintained, I think you have to keep your expectations in check for that older
Right.
stock. There's going to be expenditures, but as long as you go in with your eyes wide open and you know exactly what you're getting into, it seems like a great investment to me.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There was another question here.
Another question. We're never going to get to the
DSO.
TSO.
He writes, is lot size still an important factor for detached homes? Who wants
Yes.
to take this one?
Go ahead, Michael.
Lot size is key when you're buying detached properties. Lot is typically more valuable than the actual building that's sitting on the lot. So, lot size, like price per square foot for a lot, or buildable price per square foot, which a lot of developers use, is a really key term. So, if you're buying land value properties, that's something that's that it's paramount. So, if you're in like a developable area, it's super important. But even if you're in like an inside street and it's a residential area, every last square foot you can get for your lot is where the most of the value is in detached properties. Yeah,
For sure. And I would also add to that you should consider the improvement on the land, because if it's a newer property and it's going to be something that can serve you for your whole time that you're going to be living there, like a newer house on a smaller lot maybe, that might be an exception for me. But if you're planning, if you want to capitalize on the latent value in the land on an older property, you absolutely have to consider land size for sure.
Peter Stoyakovic is in the room. He just
Oh.
said, "Can I come by for a beer?" The answer, Peter, is no.
Yeah.
I don't know. Can we get in all three of? Yeah, everybody's shaking their
Yeah.
head. That's no.
I
Hang on,
saw
hang
it
on.
this morning. I'm okay.
I'm just getting something from the producer secret. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can.
Wait
Pete.
outside.
No, come on by, Pete.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing that's interesting about if you look at lot sizes in Vancouver and you're looking at houses with the assessed value, right? You'll see a land that's assessed at 1.4, say, and then you'll see the improvement assessed at
50,000.
Yeah, 40,000 in some
Right.
cases. I'm living in it.
Yeah,
You are. But you, I mean, that just serves, I guess, to show how important the land is in that transaction. But you, of course, have to think about the replacement costs. So,
Yeah.
so obviously, my house might be assessed at $40,000. The value of that house, so, is significantly more. But land for single family, that land is of paramount importance. When I was looking for a house a couple years back, like standard lot was I had the checklist, right? How most people go looking for real estate. You have a checklist. Standard lot was of paramount importance. And you're right. Since I bought, it's been rezoned.
RT
as
now.
to
Right.
Michael's point, and you
Yep.
can get 0.75 there, and the value just shot up because of that value in that land.
And we should highlight this, but the city of Vancouver, I think the zoning is only like the light density is only going to get looser and looser and looser
It
on
has
these
to.
lots,
It
right?
has to.
So getting that standard lot and having the option, like in an area like yours where RT, where you can actually have like a front back duplex and a coach, and you can sell all three. I mean, you can imagine how much value that adds from an area that was previously RS, right? So yeah, latent value in the land, largest lot you can get, with a house that's still livable. It really comes down to budget. Lot of moving parts, but
Right.
Okay, and D So says great, thanks. This is phenomenal.
Yeah.
This is a lot of fun. I'm actually lucky here because I'm watching the.
You have the command
has
center.
has anyone come into the room that we can?
We
welcome?
no. Well, it said. Oh, somebody just left. I think it was probably D So.
Oh, that's a little
but
selfish.
We were up. We've been up, and then now we're down to 21. But I don't know where we crested. But this is. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Miriam says thanks too.
Yeah.
Thank you, Miriam.
Thank you, everyone,
Thank you, Miriam,
for your
Diso.
questions. Did we even? I can't even remember. Well, we had a couple questions about the market, or do we want?
Well, here now.
Wait, Diso's back. No,
Oh.
Diso's still here. Do you ever see laneways in Vancouver having the possibility of being sold in the future? Okay, so I
Well-
think he means in terms of a laneway being a coach stratified.
Yeah,
and
so
being
laneway
sold.
or coach, the big difference, right, is one is allowed on an RS lot and the other one's more of an RT or an RM, right? So you can stratify a coach house and sell it just depending on your zoning.
But I think.
Oh, do you ever
So
see
is saying? Do you think
laneway
that's
from an
gonna,
RS?
that's going to change? It's not just going to be a rental, but it's going to be able to be
everything's moving,
stratified.
but everything's likely moving to RT, right?
Yeah,
I mean, that's kind of how it's.
Yeah, general rule of thumb: City of Vancouver, most cities in Greater Vancouver are moving towards higher densities. So like that's something that you're gonna.
Yeah,
Likely
I think there's a strong possibility that will happen for
Yeah,
sure.
if I was a betting man, I would bet on that for sure. Govind Hare is in the room. I don't know if you know
Ooh.
Govind. He looks like he's a new realtor
Nice.
at Oakwyn Realty.
Yeah.
And
Welcome, Govind.
His
Govind.
question is, who is your favorite new realtor at Oakwyn, and why is it Govind Hare?
This is a tough
This is
one.
for Michael.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to do the PC answer.
Come on,
Well, yeah,
name names.
It's the people we get to work with, especially the new agents. Like, for our company, one of the big reasons why we started the company was to serve new agents. And it's political.
Can you cue the violin here, Chris?
Yeah, and we have a great community of new agents. They're really, really awesome, and I can't name a favorite. No.
All right. I will. It's Govind.
He's getting up there.
There's another question here.
Right.
Okay, it's from Logan Crowder. This one I think is to Adam specifically, but I think
great.
Michael, you could answer it as well. What is one thing you've purchased recently for under $500 that has had an impact on your life? Could be a gadget, a book, an app, anything.
Shout out to Logan for listening.
Yeah.
I love that. That's great. I'm not good. I'm going to be the first person to not go with AirPods.
I think AirPods are I think they're evil.
Really?
Well,
Yes.
Here, go
Talk
on
about
that while I
disruption.
think
Actually,
about my answer. here.
I would maybe agree with you, but I'm curious to hear why.
So it repels human beings from you.
Exactly.
It's like, okay, so what are we on this earth for? Like, are we on this earth for like imagine lying in your deathbed. Are you gonna say, I wish I spent more time on my earpods or AirPods?
Yeah.
Or are you gonna say, I wish I hung out with Adam and Matt and Rami and
And-
Chris? Or, sorry, I don't wanna say his name.
Secret.
Secret. Sorry. Like that's what you're gonna want to talk about. That's what you're gonna want to think about. And I think those AirPods are toxic because they remove the annoyance of the cord floating around your body, so you're just connected into the matrix
All the
somewhat,
time.
all
You don't
the
even have
time.
to bring your phone out of your pocket anymore.
Yeah, I'm raging against the machine. So
Yeah.
I don't want to do my heavy metal.
Right.
I will. If I have another one
I
of
thought
these.
you'd never ask.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, after so
Okay, so it's not
people
AirPods.
repellent.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with AirPods.
Adam doesn't want to talk to you guys.
Depends on a plane, maybe AirPods, but yeah, that's a tough one. You know what? I've got a 3-month-old, so I feel like almost anything to do with kids that makes our life easier. Right now, it's probably the Docatot.
Go on.
What's
I
wish I had these glasses. Adam made a joke at my house. He put on glasses, you couldn't see his eyes.
Yeah.
Asked a question and pretend like he was
Yeah,
sleeping.
like the Homer Simpson
Oh, yeah,
eyes
yeah.
that say that
Yeah.
you're
Hold on,
when you're
go on
sleeping
about
behind.
Docatalk.
Yeah. That's like,
Put on
and
the
go on,
glasses.
and he's wearing those glasses. Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna here. I'm
No, but what is it?
But what is the
it?
it's a co-sleeper. It allows the kid to sleep in the middle of the bed, but it's got bumpers for really sound sleeping dads so they don't roll, like, so I don't steamroll.
Isn't that a
the
fear?
child.
Like, to
it's
just, like,
100% a fear.
I couldn't
yeah.
sleep with an infant in
No,
the bed. Yeah.
I couldn't
Yeah.
have, but they've got these walls around her, so
Yeah.
they protect her. But it's pretty great.
And
Yeah.
what did you say last time, Michael? You were
I said
just
the
on show.
Instapot. I said the Instapot.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a good question, though.
Yeah,
Thanks.
that
Thanks,
is a
Logan.
great question, and honestly, I can't think of one. I'm not much for that stuff, so purchasing.
I think
things
your
changed my
Audible
life.
membership. Audible is a
Yeah.
huge thing.
Yeah,
Do you like audiobooks?
that's been I
listen
used,
to a lot.
I used to read a lot of books, and now I listen to a lot of books. I don't
What are you
read a
listening
lot of
to right
books.
now?
What is it called? The E-Myth
Revisited.
re-listening. I'm revisiting the
Right.
E-Myth Revisited.
Right.
And that's actually really useful. I'm also listening to, and this is almost a problem listen for me. Secret. What is the Bob Dylan biography?
Down the Highway.
Down the Highway. This is like a rabbit hole for me, at
Yeah.
least. I could
Anything
turn that-
Bob Dylan, though.
Anything Bob
Yeah?
Dylan. I just
Oh,
go
yeah.
in and it's like
what is it? Is it the
I
time?
think
It's the lyrics. Is it what?
Well, no, I like him as an artist. I think his story and kind of the narrative he's weaved about his own life
Okay.
is kind of a very compelling thing. So actually, kind of digging behind that and seeing
What is the narrative of his life?
Whoa. We're going to have to
Whoa.
save that
Yeah.
for our Behind the Music Behind the
Okay,
Music
no,
podcast.
curious, yeah.
yeah, that's for next
Coming
week.
out on Sirius next week.
But yeah, no, the Audible membership, yeah, maybe. I'm I don't know.
It's a
I'll
good
think
thing.
about
It's
it.
a good thing to have. And I just downloaded Good to Great on referral from Morgan Brown, past guest.
Yeah.
Fan
We're doing
favorite.
a book club on that, so if you listen to it quick, you can join the book club at Oakwyn.
Interesting.
Hashtag Oakwyn.
Uh
put it on
oh. Logan is actually asking how will real estate be disrupted. We're not gonna cover that one tonight, Logan.
We have to, yeah.
There's a couple more questions here before we get to that. One is from Vegan Kev.
Okay.
Hey guys, love the podcast and YouTube Hangouts. What do you think of the studio units at Gateway and Surrey Central SkyTrain for a long-term buy and hold rental investment? They go for about $320K. Surrey Central.
Yeah, Surrey Central obviously has a bright future. I would just compare it on, what you can get for rent, and obviously the price per square foot, the buy-in for
That
if
must
it's
be
an
without
investment.
parking, eh? I would think
Yeah.
that's without
Yeah,
parking.
the only thing I would compare it to would be stuff in Vancouver, in the city of Vancouver, that you can get if you have the budget to jump up.
Ella at Nanaimo, $399.
Well, Ella at Nanaimo's $399 right now, no parking for a bachelor unit.
Yeah.
But bright future for that part of town, and also for the rents in that part of town. And then also thinking about like what we talked about last week, Strathcona Village, where
The problem is,
entry level mid fours. I think you can still get you'll still get on the Hastings side that low 800 a foot price per square foot, and you'll still get high rents like $1,750. So that would be my question.
well, and the one thing about Surrey that I always worry about a little bit, and long term though, because you do say long term, I think it's a great buy. Short term, I feel like the hype in Surrey has kind of weirdly carried through the downturn in a way, especially
Right.
on the pre-sale market.
It's
where
based on the door price.
Yeah.
So like the door price in Surrey that you're gonna get. So the door price is kind of like, this is real estate jargon, but the door price is basically your raw pricing. for buying a condo is very absorbable. You know, when you look at it. So, sorry, what was his name? It was
Vegan
Kev. Okay,
Vegan
Vegan
Probably
Kev.
Kevin.
Yeah, okay, Kevin. So Vegan Kevin. Basically, yeah, you're gonna want to look at what your monthly costs for a mortgage are gonna be over the next 5 years,
Right.
And especially if you're buying for rental investment, you know, look at rents for similarly. So you can go on Craigslist or go on PadMapper or something like that. Look at what things are renting for in those areas and see how that kind of compares, and then if it's sound, if it's a good investment, if it covers the cost or maybe a little bit in excess of those costs, go for it.
Long term, honestly, like 5 to 10 years, buy it.
Yeah.
Surrey's not a bad buy.
Yeah, no, Surrey's
Surrey's
definitely not
buy.
a bad
And
one.
that price point at the entry level, that's a good. I mean,
Yeah.
Well, and I was going to say the one thing I said before
Those are Calgary prices.
about the hype carrying through, but those price points, you're
Those are
golden.
Calgary
Right.
prices.
You're golden no matter
Yeah.
what. I mean, the market could drop 50%, and somehow the 320 price point is going to
Yeah.
Sure.
You heard it here first. That's incredible. 888. Would you sell an older home in East Van, or wait for property value to increase? Some say sell it. Standard Vancouver-sized lot, so 33 by 122, 4026.
Are you living there? And we can't wait for that response. Maybe I don't know if he's. if he's
Doug
in real
Allen's
time.
in the room. Hey, Doug.
Hey, Doug, how you doing? If you're actually in East Van, if you're living in your house, or if it's a revenue property, I mean, it depends what you can do with that money. But at the end of the day, I wouldn't sell a lot in East Van right now.
Yeah, I can't remember how many actual like standard lots
We've talked
have
about
you
it
guys
though.
talked
Yeah,
about?
but I don't know how many. But
in
it's
total
not
in
it's
Vancouver.
Not so
There's
many.
not that many. So
I thought
you
it
know,
was 60,000.
Yeah, so you know, 888. So you might be
No, don't
kin.
make that. Don't make that. Don't.
one of my kin in my clan, not my Warcraft clan. But like, yeah, you know, if you can hold those types of properties, I call those like, you know, East Van house on a 33 by 122 lot.
That's a tier one.
Yeah, it's a tier one property. It's like it's something that you like really want to, you know, if you can have the power to hold it, I would suggest holding it. Pulling equity from properties to buy other properties is something that I've helped a lot of clients do. And, you know, especially it depends on their age and where their career prospects are and everything like that. But it's, you know, I would tend to hold a property like that.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, and just in terms of pulling equity, this makes me think of.
Yeah, you can maybe refinance it, or if you have a home equity line of credit and make other investments against it. But generally speaking, I wouldn't sell that.
Yeah, but pulling equity out to make another move. This goes back to P-Man.
Right.
You know, early 20s, buying a rental property.
Sure.
I mean, that's something I would be thinking about.
Leave a
Getting
trail
that-
of revenue properties behind you
Yeah,
as you
and,
move through the
and
market.
definitely be thinking about a home equity line of credit there to make your next move.
Sure.
There's more questions, guys. So
Okay.
so Logan definitely wants to know about disruption.
Yes.
He's saying
Yeah.
my guess for real estate disruption is shared home equity programs with private companies and banks. We're gonna let Michael field that one, and then he's living in it. That's incredible. 888 is living in it. I would hold that property,
Yeah.
and if you're looking to move, hold it. And then. Well, what do you think? I don't know. Doug's got a question too. We got Logan saying, "What's going on?"
So-
Your title has not actually been brought up at all in the talk. Should we move?
Yeah,
on
let's go to disruption. Let's talk about disruption.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
we'll get to
So-
you,
We
Doug.
can come
We'll
back.
Get to you, Doug.
Yeah. So there's a movement right now with real estate investment. You know, some call it like blockchain real estate investment. So
Right.
like, privately held like micro lending to buy bigger properties, like micro investments to buy real estate properties, which makes perfect sense for me. You know, what I'm seeing a lot of those, they're not really done in our like residential market. They're really done in the commercial market. In China,
Right.
there's some like kind of privately held companies that have certain shares and they kind of get sold off, and and entities buy from that perspective. And I think it might go that technology route with the there's a few I can't, off the top of my head, I can't think of the names of the companies, but there's a few that I've been following and seeing, what their programs are for like kind of blockchain purchases. So I think that is something kind of like cryptocurrency has the ability to move. I think those are going to be targeted toward like larger properties though. I'm not sure when it's going to filter down to like our regular condo market or regular detached market, but really, so like kind of it's happening in the shopping centers, it's happening in the large commercial projects. Yeah.
Presumably it means speeding up the process of buying and selling real estate as well, right? Like being with blockchain. I mean, I know there's a lot of investment companies that are coming out, like I think it's Retium, and there's a whole bunch of them that have started up in Vancouver where you can invest in real estate for as low as about $1.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think there's that angle, but I think you can also see those technologies coming in and just expediting the whole process of buying, the paperwork, the conveyancing, everything, right?
There was always programs like that called real estate income trusts, so they're called REITs.
Sure.
For real estate investments, but I think this expedites things. It makes the qualification a lot quicker.
Yeah.
It makes things a bit more expedient, like as you were saying. Yeah.
How does technology inform your long-term real estate investment strategy?
Well, from an investment strategy, I believe in real estate as a vehicle. I think from a commerce perspective, I think that everything serves like human beings. So human beings are going to need properties, need places to live. So population growth and demographics, as long as that's pretty sound for certain areas and where people are kind of flocking towards, it's a sound investment. And how kind of technology affects that is really in the process and assisting people. So everything should always surround the people, and people have been talking about it. I think you might have it on your list here. How how technology is going to affect the process of purchasing property. And I kind of have my opinion on those things, but yeah. So technology, I feel technology is to serve people, to make things either easier from an efficiency standpoint or from a service or a convenience standpoint. Yeah.
Yeah. And right before we came on air, you were talking about how just even technology in healthcare is going to influence how you actually buy real estate. Like, meaning that you're looking at, like, you think you're going to live longer than...
Oh.
Yeah.
Right.
This is maybe a real futurist angle.
This might be like, this is like an existential question or existential opinion. So the advances of technology in healthcare and in longevity are something that the advances that I've been reading and researching about are so astronomical. So like the average age of a man or a woman is, it's been increasing steadily over the last 50 or 100 years, and so the vehicles for investment should change based on our longevity. So like, how that has impacted me is that I don't think I'm only going to live until 70 years old. Like that was the average age of a male for a long time, 70 years old. Now it's like 85 or 86 or even 90 years old. And I think that there's a possibility with all these advances in technology that we'll actually be living a lot longer. So our RRSP, and like, not to say RRSP is bad, I think RRSP is good, but our sole RRSP investment for our retirement might be not for 10, 15 years. Mm-hmm. It may be for 30 years,
right?
40 years. And if that's the case, we need cash flow.
Yeah.
So that so, what's the best vehicle in order for us to have passive cash flow? So I think that the demand for real estate will actually increase as we kind of as we age and as the technology
Well, as it
improves.
becomes clear that people are living that much longer, right?
Yeah, because you know, you have to have the passive income that comes in, and if you can't actively operate a business, or if you can't actively be employed potentially because of, you know, certain things, or if you don't want to, I think real estate is the most important vehicle for most human beings to be able to you know, live a sustainable and a healthy post-retirement age. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? It's funny. Well, I was just talking to a friend of ours whose colleague's mother. This is kind of totally not totally off topic, but he said, okay, she got sick. She decided to pull the plug, and they had like this kind of celebration of life with her, and it was like, okay, scheduled for Tuesday, and she passed away last week. And I was like, oh my God, like I can't even imagine that. And he was like, get ready for it, because that's the way we're gonna start dying that way. That's the way people are gonna start dying. They're gonna be technology will be able to keep you alive, but it's just a matter of
You'll choose to opt out.
yeah, your body. You'll just be like, this ain't worth it anymore.
This took an
yeah, sorry.
a very morbid
turn. I was crying on the way over here, and but no, it just makes me think of that. I mean, it's
where's 888 here?
actually triple eight said great, thanks guys. Also, P Man has another question.
Okay.
Oh, hey, P man.
You're saving me, P Man. Another question: is it always better to
AJ
keep?
Matt.
Yeah. Is it always better to keep a home you purchase?
Matt, what about Doug?
Oh, Doug
shoot,
Allen. Yeah,
Doug,
sorry.
yes, Doug Allen. Doug Allen, fan favorite. Doug, we've had Doug on the show before. What do you guys think is the high limit of affordability in Vancouver based on real fundamentals?
Oh, Doug.
Holy, Doug, it's a little late for this. Hold on. In essence, how low can single family go in markets like North Vancouver before bottoming out?
I don't honestly. My sense of the single family market is I feel like we've already seen bottom in East Van and in North Van
And in North Van and on the west side, actually.
I would make that case too. Are you seeing anything we're not seeing, Doug? Because I know Doug is super tapped
Doug
into the
is
market.
Doug may school us here. But what are your thoughts?
You know, it's just so hard to, like, you know, I love like stoic predictions. Like this is the bottom, or this is the top. I love like maxims and extreme kind of extreme kind of opinions.
What's your Twitter handle?
But you know, I don't think that there's like going to be a prescribed bottom. You know, it's really when I look at real estate, when you look at purchasing real estate, I don't like to look at it as a speculator. I don't like to look at it as like, you know, okay, I'm buying. Like, you have to really believe in the product. You have to really believe in what you're buying. So like, even if I was to like, I would probably buy Google stock right now because I just believe in the product so much. And I think that even though it's at a high right now, I would still probably buy it because I think in 10 or 15 years, it's going to do better because I believe in the people that are running it. I believe in the systems that they have. I believe in their philosophies and so on and so forth. But, you know, so it boils down to that same thing. And so, you know, when you're buying these types of, like detached properties in North Vancouver, that's a tier 1 property. So
sure.
Like, yeah.
So that and I just want to add to that because like my logic on that is, I remember when in East Vancouver, obviously when livable houses were, you know, $500,000, 600,000, 700, 800,000, and that was kind of the last like kind of low point where you saw an increase where a lot of houses that were livable, like the entry
Like
level was
2012.
like, that was like 2012, say to 2015, where you saw like a peak of like 1.3, 1.4 for those types of like entry level homes, and then they went kind of back down to about 1.1 range, 1.2 for entry level East Van, and now we're back into a seller's market. So I feel like I don't feel like we're going to get to a point. So I guess if the question is how low will they go in this current market, like I think if people are hanging out for like $900,000 livable houses in North Van and East Van, I don't think we're
and the
going
value
in
of money is
this
different
cycle.
too, right? Like the inflation, the compounding effects of inflation affect those as well.
Sure.
You know? Yeah.
Sure.
So I think that's something to really be conscious about too. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you look in detached homes in North Vancouver, we're up into 1.75. You're at 44% sales ratio or higher right now.
Right.
So maybe October was a really busy month, but that's a pretty busy market.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, and I can tell you, I was out on Saturday looking at East Van homes, and I'm trying to find something good for 1213, and
It's tricky.
It's hard to find. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't say it doesn't exist, but it might not exist actually.
Right.
P-Man, another question. And we're at 7:57 here, guys.
Yeah.
So
we have
we're
3 minutes. 3
got
minutes.
3
Oh, is that
minutes
it? Or
Yeah.
we gotta
yeah.
talk more about disruption, don't we? No.
Oh, well, yeah, we definitely
Yeah.
can. Can you do it in under 3 minutes? Well, we'll do P-Man's question here first. Another question. Is it always better to keep a home you purchase if you maintain the upkeep, or sell the property even if you have a long-term approach? Is it always better to keep a home you purchase if you maintain the upkeep, or sell the property even if you have a long-term approach? I think this is the idea of, do you sell a property, like you're a long-term
Yeah.
hold guy.
If you sell the property to get a better property, I think so. Like, you know, in my example that I had earlier with my Richmond condo, that
Yeah.
I had an opportunity to buy an East Van detached home. So I sold I didn't really have, but I did sell the Richmond condo that was a good rental investment.
You have sold properties.
Yeah. Yeah. So, because it depends on what the opportunity is on the other
If it allows
side.
you to get the
It allows you to get let's say, if it allows you to get a superior property that's more rarefied, that's a better product, then absolutely you should sell it to replace it for something that's better. If you're selling it so you can go, on a vacation or something like that to the Bahamas, all expenses paid, then like maybe not the best thing.
Yeah.
Do you have a rule for not selling properties? Like, do you have a rule where you're like, if it's cash flow positive or something, I won't sell it?
Well,
Or is everything up for
at this point right now for myself, like it's very hard for me to sell a property unless I'm able to replace it with something that's significantly better.
right? So you have to climb up the
It
ladder.
just depends, but we're at so it depends on that might change with the time of life or the circumstance, right? Because in circumstance it's going to change. Like if I had if I had a great 2-bedroom condo in Mount Pleasant, but I had a family that I needed to take care of, and I had potentially like a fixed income, and that was good, then I would move them to like Port Moody to be in better school and do a lateral move. Like, yeah, of course, then I would
Right.
sell. So it just depends on that circumstance. But I think you certainly want to have a foot in the always some form of a foot in the market, in whatever it is. So
Well, and also I think the kind of personal components are key, but it's worth looking at. And you sort of said this, but it's worth emphasizing, like looking at the gaps in the market, right? Like we're in a market, and Dustin Woodhouse said this a long time ago, where it seems like government policy is compressed, where everything's moving towards $1 million. The entry level stuff has maintained its
a lot of pressure on
levels,
on the
a lot
entry
of-
level
lot of
stuff, and then downward pressure
that.
on the high stuff.
So you see, like the east side and west side are getting really close together. Detached and
Townhomes.
and duplexes
Or
are getting
duplexes,
really
yeah.
close together right now. Like those would be the things I'd be looking at if I was just thinking, okay, straight investment wise, is this a good time to sell something? Do I need to sell something to move up in the market? Looking at those gaps would be key.
well,
It's 8:01.
it's 8:01.
Hold on though. We should just open up this. First of all, Doug Allen says, thanks guys, great conversation. Thanks, Doug. Hopefully that served Doug. There's still 21 people in this room.
wow,
So do we call it a room?
Yeah.
A room.
Yeah, I think
it's
so.
a digital community.
We can talk about the disruption now if
Okay, so
Yeah.
maybe because I feel like, Michael, we said to you, hey, we want to talk about disruption. It might have been, we might not want to talk about that much, but we said to you, hey, we want to talk about disruption. And you opened a brokerage at a time when people were saying, don't go into real estate. Like, I know because we're in real estate and
Right.
people are like, oh, you're going to be obsolete. And, hey, you're going the way of the travel agent. You were bullish enough to start a brokerage at that
Right.
moment. You're a guy who thinks deeply about basically everything before you do it, right? It's pretty clear. What are your thoughts about the future of real estate? Where are we going? And do you just general thoughts before we sign off here?
No pressure.
And it better be good because somebody's in this room waiting for this answer.
Exactly. Well, like I can point to the disruption aspect of like the
More holistic,
yeah. I can talk about the disruption aspects of of why we started a brokerage. In a kind of the brokerage business has been around for over 100 years. It's from the early 1900s when realtors started popping up. So it's a pretty long-standing business, and in my opinion, I think that the stakes for buying real estate is very, very high. And it's different from, for example, a travel agent or buying an Instapot or something like that, where this is a really, really crucial and key decision that individuals make. So things like doctors, lawyers. So like you get a doctor because your health care and stuff, that's important to you. So you want a doctor to
You'll pay
help
for
you.
it, yeah.
You'll pay for it. And same thing with a lawyer. You're in trouble, you'll pay for a lawyer. So housing is and like primary investments are, I think the stakes are extraordinarily high. So I think that these are the last industries to typically to see a technological disruption. However, I might be wrong, but it has to make things easier. Technology has to like bridge a gap. It has to make it more efficient. And so far from the offerings that I've seen, it's fairly, I think the agent is still important. And so, we invested obviously in starting a brokerage with a different philosophy, with something that's that we're offering to our market that's a bit fresh and new, and the response has been very, very good so far. We've been really pleased with the results and the responses so far, and we're going to continue to do that. If there is a technological disruption that I feel is going to be very, very compelling and better option, then we have to shift and we have to make decisions. But nothing that I've seen so far has really said, okay, the agent will be exterminated, it will be like extinct. Anything in the next few years for sure. We had a big company. Rogers tried to get into the real estate business. So Ted Rogers, owner of Rogers Communications and so on in Canada, tried to disrupt the real estate industry. They spent gazillions of dollars to do that. I think that's a technical term. And it fell flat and it failed completely because it didn't improve consumers' experience. It didn't improve the lives of human beings. And so like all this technology, that's what it's meant to do. So that's my philosophy at this current time. However, that might change down the line.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, maybe we'll leave it there. But
Take out your AirPods, guys. Take out your AirPods. That's a final thought.
Exactly.
well, thank you everybody for joining us,
Yeah, thanks,
and
guys.
this has been a lot of fun.
Hold
And-
on. It's not a question. It's P-Man. Just he said, I see everyone regretting selling something they previously owned when they saw prices increase and missing out on those capital gains. Thanks, guys. Well, thanks, P-Man. You were a critical component of the conversation tonight.
Thank you.
And thanks to everybody, all you guys, Doug, and That's Incredible 888, and everybody who came in the room.
Yeah, Deso, Miriam,
Yeah,
Sabrina,
this is
Sabrina, Peter.
We'll see you
He's
outside.
been buzzing. He's been
He's
buzzing.
buzzing up here, yeah.
Yeah, thanks, guys, and that was fantastic.
Yeah, thank you
and,
for-
we'll be back, and thanks, Michael, for taking the time.
Yeah. Thank you, Michael.
Yeah, great.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, guys. That was fun.
Yeah, it was good.
We're still live.